This week we're going to talk about how props fit into the picture. But first, let's re-examine the shot list and how shot composition works in film. During the first years of film, the most common type of shot was the long shot. Back in the 19th century, when film was still young, there were no filmmakers, there were only camera operators. These operators were interested in scenery because that's what the audience wanted, to be transported to different locales. The camera was traveling to distant countries and capturing exotic images around the globe. Close-ups were rare. When the first filmmakers decided to record scripted stories, establishing shots became common. They were preferred because the camera would record scenes with a similar vantage point as theater audiences would have. In that time, the film grammar, which incorporates, among other things, editing and shot variety, hadn't been developed. It wasn't until D.W. Griffith came along that medium shots, close-ups, and insert shots were comprehended and used effectively. D.W. Griffith changed the game because his films abound with shot variety. He knew the purposes of the different shot sizes. A fundamental part of visual storytelling is variety. If your entire video consists of one single shot, it's going to be hard to keep the audience engaged for the duration of the story. That's why in most videos and movies there are a variety of shots or compositions that are used to enhance the storytelling. A full shot displays the character from head to toe without showing much of his surroundings. These shots were very popular in the beginning of cinema before filmmakers had understood the power of medium shots and close-ups. A full shot distances the character from the viewer both physically and psychologically. They carry less emotional weight, and therefore they are not the best choices during emotive scenes. Whenever the director wants to convey someone's anger, fear, or joy, close-ups are way more effective. Medium shots are the most common types of shots in the movies. Showing most of the subject's body, medium shots are halfway between long shots and close-ups. However, authors disagree on the definition. While some writers declare that the medium shot shows the character from a little above the knees to the top of his head, others state that medium shots only go as low as a little above the waist. Regardless of the debate, general composition rules demand that frame lines shouldn't cut the actors on the joint, so as long as the operators avoid knees, waists, and elbows, the framing shouldn't be a problem. The medium shot also encompasses two other famous shot types: the two shot with two actors facing the same screen direction, and the over the shoulder, showing a conversation in which the actors sit or stand across from each other. In close-up shots, the subject dominates most of the frame, allowing very little observation on the locale of the scene. Close-ups are much more dramatic than long or medium shots. They are preferred when conveying someone's emotion. Often labeled as the detail shot, extreme close-ups do exactly that, show a small detail of certain relevance that would otherwise be missing in the longer shot. Now, insert shots don't focus on people. They are employed to emphasize a relevant object such as a letter, an envelope with money, or a gun that would otherwise be lost in the grand mise-en-scène. Insert shots are tight shots in which objects fill most of the frame. Even if inserts don't reveal anything new, they are welcome during the editing phase as they smooth transitions between shots. Reaction shots are often forgotten in camera persons and by camera people, and inadvertently. But basically, what we're trying to say is they really needed by editors, no matter what the camera operator wants. The editors need them a lot. They comprise most of the time cutaways. These reaction shots, and they're usually, if they're a cutaway, usually a close-up of an actor reacting to something like a conversation or a speech, though it can be pretty much anything. Reaction shots are customarily deprived of dialogue, but not always. The actor's reaction may be a sneer, a furrowed brow, a grin, or any other gesture that conveys an emotion, or just an expressionless stare. The reason why reaction shots are needed is because they allow the editor to cut away from the main action, thus allowing some flexibility in the assembly of shots. Suppose that the camera operator captured 2 takes of an actor's speech that lasted 1 minute long. Now imagine that the first half of the actor's speech is more powerful in the first take, while the second half is better in the second take. Without the reaction shot, the editor only has 2 choices, take 1 or 2. However, with the reaction shot of a secondary character, the editor has a third choice. He can bridge the first take and the second take by cutting away to the reaction shot during the transition from one take to the other. Now, an insert shot is a shot that occurs in the middle of a larger scene. And usually draws the audience's attention to a particular object or a piece of information. Like here's an example from one insert shot from Silence of the Lambs, cutting away from her to relevant clues. Insert shots can save a scene. They're great to use when the pacing of a scene is off. You want to cut a scene down and make it shorter, or splice two different takes of an actor together to give you the performance you're looking for. They're important. Insert shots can be of anything. Maybe an actor is reading a newspaper while he talks in a scene, but he flubs a line. Well, instead of scraping the whole scene, just cut away to the newspaper for a second and replace the audio with the audio of a different take, and now the scene works and the audience is none the wiser. Insert shots can be used to show off screen object or two that the actors are talking about. For example, maybe a character in the scene is proposing to his girlfriend and she looks down at the ring. You could then cut to an insert shot of the engagement ring to let the audience see what the ring looks like. Or, to be less cliched, you could take Joe Harris, a homeless man who found an engagement ring in his donation bucket that was accidentally dropped there by this woman, Sarah Darling. Believe it or not, that's her name. Some things in reality are much more incredible than fiction. So he returned her engagement ring after he saw it. And of course, we have the insert shot that the news team took of the ring to make the story moving, and which garnered him $180,000 of donations from people who liked the story so much. You know, the insert shots are probably the most crucial shots to get when shooting your scene, especially if you're on a low-budget movie and you have limited time to get everything you need. They're not the most exciting shots, but they will get you the footage you need to pull off your scene. And they'll give you the freedom and confidence to have fun for more creative shots later. Now let's look at some famous insert shots. This is one from David Fincher's Zodiac, about the Zodiac Killer. And here's a moment when they peek through the window and we glimpse an important clue. Or we could take John Hughes' unforgettable Ode to Teenage Rebellion, full of memorable insert shots, but the hilarious non-forebodingness of who and what this one is what this signifies has always been one of the shots that immediately leaps to mind when you think of insert shots. When you go to that placard and then you cut to the person, the prominence of the title of that person, then cutting to that person, can lead to a joke or further revelation. Or we have a scene here in another movie where the character puts down the Zippo lighter next to the drain after he sees this, the woman, the inamorata, and he then faints. But before he does that, the Zippo, the drink, the faint, it's all clues to the emotion of the scene. And here's one that's probably, or if anybody's seen United 93, Paul Greengrass's movie. Well, here's an insert shot here. When the first jet is crashing the World Trade Center, and it's relayed to the Chief of Air Traffic Control Operations, the FAA, that the tapes, having caught the hijackers' voices, are heard to say, "We have some planes, we have some planes." The chief repeats, emphasizing the plural, and as he does, the film cuts to the above shot, a display of every flight currently in the United States airspace. Every one of them, another potential hijack to the FAA. It's a split second that effortlessly combines the terror and the confusion of that horrific day. Per Cigarettes Incorporated in cinema, there have been, this is a blog site that says there's been more than 7.8 million cigarettes smoked in film. And of those 7.8 million cigarettes, roughly 500,000 of them have been stubbed out. But no cigarette stubbed out on the silver screen has echoed with such charismatically haughty evilness as Hans Gruber in Die Hard. The exceptional thief's designer shoes contrasted with John McClane's ravaged bare feet in the background. For us, as we go into our horror stories, we'll rely on the usual inserts of weaponry that will help tell our story. And so for horror movies, inserts are essential and important, and we should pay attention to them. Without a good insert, a horror movie won't go very far.